Hi, welcome to Mindful Parenting. This will be a 2-session workshop that works with parenting, mindfulness, and being able to learn how to regulate our emotions. If you've never tried mindfulness before, this will give you a little bit of an introduction. It will give you some things to learn, some practices. I encourage you to do this in little bits and pieces as you have time, and to do it with a partner, a friend, a significant other. And like I said, just take your time for this. I'm thrilled that you have an opportunity to explore mindfulness a little bit. I am Cheryl, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself as we continue on through this program. Because this is an online event that's recorded, I don't have the pleasure of getting to meet you. I don't get the pleasure of understanding who you are and where you've come from and what you are working through or working with. I do know that we all are going through pretty significant struggles right now with COVID-19 blaring, with us trying to find time to do our jobs and take care of the kids and deal with whatever else we have to deal with. It's really a lot. So I highly encourage you to view this series as a self-care time, as a time to just chill out a little bit, to take a breather and learn how to treat yourself with compassion, which is going to be a lot of what the second session will be about. So please take care of yourself, take breaks as you need. You can do some journaling along the way, and the beauty of a recording is you can just stop it whenever you want to and then start it up again. So let's begin the slide presentation, and you can, as you're getting ready, you will need a raisin or something to eat later on, and you need to be comfortable and be in a comfortable, quiet place. So whatever you need to get yourself in those conditions to the best of your ability, please do so while I transition into our slideshow. All right, so this series is called Presence, Not Perfection, Mindful Parenting, Planting the Seeds of Love and Kindness. You'll notice that I have a website called Teens Just Breathe. And this is where I do a lot of my teaching from, but you'll also find me at the Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness, as I am an affiliate with them. And that is where I offer the Mindful Parenting series with them. So it's a little bit fuller and a little bit more complete if you were to go to the Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness website. You can find out all about that. So before we begin, you'll find that I'm going to do a whole lot of stopping and checking in with you because we are so used to being disconnected from ourselves and from everything that's going on around us. And we walk through life kind of numb or on autopilot. The more we can connect with our body and our physical sensations and how we're feeling and honor those feelings, the better off we're going to be. So just take a moment, do a quick scan, even close your eyes. How are you feeling right now? If you were to be said a happy, sad, mad, glad, how would that land for you? Where are you on that wheel? And sometimes it's helpful to equate that to a weather report. Like if you're really happy, you might be feeling sunny. If you're feeling stressed, you might be feeling stormy. I've had people say tornadoes, lightning, thunderstorms. Whatever you might be feeling is perfectly okay and as it should be. So notice without judgment, with kindness, and no need to change any of it. Just notice, what is your personal weather report? You can even take a moment just to take a breath in, and if you find that your shoulders are kind of tense or your jaw is tense, you can just kind of take a quick moment to take a breath, take a pause before we continue. As I mentioned earlier, it's important to me that you honor safety for yourself As we go through this, sometimes we find somewhat upsetting sensations or realizations. Sometimes what we have gone through in our life creates trauma. And by checking into body sensations, that might create more trauma for you. It doesn't happen to people usually, but sometimes it does. So I just want to give you that warning. I will continue to give you choices as we go through this, and especially with the practices as we go through this. If you find yourself kind of leaving your area of comfort zone, if you find yourself kind of going into maybe some difficult sensations or feelings, you always have the option of just dialing it back, dialing it down, standing up, and I'll give you other options for that as well. The important thing is no one person is alike, and we all receive and learn in a different way. So please make sure that you take care of yourself. There is no rush here. So this is my family. This is our annual vacation. We go to Beaver Island. I am a retired middle school teacher. For decades, I did that. And that is when I started teaching mindfulness, actually. I had a lot of anxiety issues, and I didn't know what was going on with me back then. And finally, I discovered the Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness, and it was really life-changing for me to learn, first of all, what was going on with me, to learn how my brain affected all of this, and then to be able to find skills and practices that I could calm myself and soothe myself and understand what to do. Since then, I have been teaching to middle school, high school, elementary, parents, adults, and it has now become a passion of mine. And I also feel that mindfulness, one person at a time, will heal the world. It will heal the world of so many of the problems that we have. And currently, we have so much fear with COVID-19, so much uncertainty, so much fear is out there. We also have so much anger and trauma and heartbreak with the racism that faces our country. So this area might trigger some places for you as we go through this. So please take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. So in these two sessions, we will be exploring mindfulness and its benefits. We'll be working on mindful parenting, being able to learn how to create connection and safety, practices to support you and your family, and then emotional regulation. How do we respond to the triggers that happen throughout the day? How do we ride those waves? Once we can learn to do that for ourselves, we can learn to do that for our children as well. This is all a journey. I have been learning and practicing for 10 years, and I'm learning every day. The deeper it goes, the more I learn, the more I can get out of my own way and just notice and observe. So it's kind of like we find a way. How do we balance what's difficult with what's pleasant? How do we bring out what's pleasant and not always focus on what's difficult in our lives? So today is mindfulness, this session, and we'll be developing awareness. This is a very short period of time. The classic training lasts 8 weeks with 2 hours each. So it puts in a lot more hours. So understand that this is just a little bit to plant the seeds, develop some awareness in order for you to carry on with your path. If this fits for you and it really works for you, there's a number of ways that you can continue learning about this. So one of the major things we'll learn about is how we use all 5 of our senses to try to stay present, stay in our body instead of autopilot. We're going to do a classic practice called a raisin activity, which will help show us this beginner's mind. We'll learn how to meditate, and then we'll learn about parenting practices. And that connection with ourselves and our children is the key. So as we go through this, I keep on stressing, and I will again, feel what is true for you. You might even need to just continually stop and go, how is this landing for me? How is this feeling for me? Does this feel right for me? Does this seem true for me? Be kind to yourself. We are so horrible to ourselves, beating ourselves up for every little mistake. When we are parents, we have lots of mistakes, and we can treat those mistakes as learning opportunities. We are not perfect. All we're trying to do is be present, be available, and find a way to be kind to ourselves and our kids. So listen deeply. Take the time to notice what you are feeling. Again, you could do a little stop, label that, name it. If you find yourself needing some help, you can always email me at teensjustbreathed@gmail.com. Consider taking this with a partner or a friend so you can discuss it and process it and practice it with one another. And be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself. Take it a little bit at a time. Our modern day culture has been so rushed and so hurried, and we're so on our own, when we were really intended to have an extended family around us or a village around us. If you're lucky enough to be one of those people, take advantage of that. So many of us are left on our own devices, feeling all alone. And I will assure you that you are never truly alone. There are always connections with people around you that you can take advantage of. So let's begin with an observation exercise. It involves using the bell, which I hope you can actually hear. As I record this, sometimes the recording, you can see my bell here. The microphone takes it away, so I hope it works. But if you can't hear the bell for this exercise, I would like you to simply listen to whatever comes to you in the room that you are sitting in. So, as we begin our first mindfulness practice, the classic way to sit is to sit up straight. You can have your feet on the floor as a way to ground yourself. Your hands can be in your lap, and your eyes can be closed. And if you feel like you would like to simply keep your eyes open, you could just open them up and find a place to look. We usually close our eyes so that we can close off all of the outside stimulation and just focus on this sense of hearing. So let's begin. I would like you just to listen to the sound of the bell until you can't hear it anymore. Let's begin. The bell has stopped ringing. How was that for you? Notice your experience. Were you able to pay attention to the bell? Was this easy or difficult for you? Did you find your mind wandering at all? These are all common experiences that people have. Let's try this again. Knowing what you're going to do is listen to the sound of this bell. And then when you can't hear the bell anymore, just open up your senses, your hearing, to anything that is present in the room. Let's begin. Now just listening to whatever comes to you in the room. You don't have to go out and find it. Just receive the sounds around you. right, you can open your eyes. Take a moment to notice what that experience was like. Was it similar? You listened to the bell, and then you listened to whatever was in the room. Was this easy? Was it easier or harder to listen? Many people feel that it's easier to listen to the sound of the bell because I've given you an assignment of listening. Easier to pay attention, easier to not notice your mind wandering away. And many people notice that when left to our own devices, especially if we have not trained our mind, once we are listening to sounds, often our minds run away from us, and before you know it, we're not listening to sounds anymore. This is all part of mindfulness and part of the training, but what you just practiced is mindfulness. You listened on purpose to the sounds. I would imagine you listened without judging. I imagine you were curious about what you would hear and how that would go for you. I imagine you were fairly kind to yourself. So that experience is mindfulness. That was your sense of hearing, which is one of the 5 senses that we will be working on. If you want to stop for a minute and just jot down anything you notice, feel free. Otherwise, we'll continue. So mindfulness is this idea that we choose to pay attention to the present moment with kindness, curiosity, and patience, not judgmental. So I use this little puppy dog because many of us have had the experience of raising a puppy. And when they're puppies, they're very cute and cuddly and lovable. You can't help but just think they're adorable. And no matter what they do, tear things up, eat things up, make a mess in the house, ruin our stuff, we are normally very patient and kind with them. We still love them. However, if we were to let that puppy grow up and continue doing that destructive behavior, no longer would it be so much fun. Now it's creating giant messes, ruining lots of our stuff, maybe barking uncontrollably, or jumping all over people, or even trying to attack other people. So this is a lot like our mind. Unless we learn to train our mind makes messes. Our mind runs amok, out of control. It makes things up, and then it believes it. We forget to be kind to ourselves. We're usually very harsh and critical and judgmental. And those are all things that are not at all helpful for us or for others. So remembering the puppy, remembering that we can learn to be kind to ourselves. We can learn to train our mind with kindness and curiosity and patience. This curiosity piece is what replaces judgment. Instead of judging somebody or ourselves, we could replace it with, I wonder why that happened. I wonder what's going on. And taking a moment, taking a breath to really explore that. Because there's always an alternative way of viewing things. And often what we think is real and true for us is really not. It reminds me a lot of when I first got my glasses when I was in high school. I didn't have horrible eyesight, but I realized I couldn't see details and I couldn't see far away. When I first put them on the ride home, I suddenly was in awe of the trees, the details, the leaves. I could see so much more than I had seen before. Now, had the trees changed? No, those trees were always just like that. What changed is my ability to see more clearly. And that's what mindfulness will help us do. It helps us unpeel that onion, unpeel our experiences so we can get down to the core truths. So we can examine it and see if it really is true for us. This is what takes us out of the past and future, which is where all stress lives. We find ourselves dredging up things that have already happened or worrying and stressing about what's going to happen. We find our thoughts are out of control. And this is a common experience when we start mindfulness. In fact, often when we begin mindfulness, we don't even realize that our thoughts are out of control or we're all over the place. Little by little, we will start noticing those things. And those thoughts are just thoughts. They will give us information for us to take a look into. We might see repetitive thoughts. Those thoughts will give us some information to help us understand and examine more about what's really going on beneath the surface. Therefore, it's helpful for us as adults to not just do knee-jerk reactions, but to really take the time to notice, examine, be curious, be kind. It helps us as parents because when we start noticing our child's behavior, maybe not as being naughty, but maybe as a cry for help or needing to be taught or taught. So that is what mindfulness is in a nutshell. So I mentioned autopilot, which is the opposite of mindfulness. So notice all of the things that we do on autopilot. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing to be on autopilot, because imagine if we had to relearn every single time we had to brush our teeth or brush our hair or wash the dishes or take out the trash. That would be pretty awful. But what happens to us is we just kind of forget to pay attention to large shares of our life and large shares of other people. And maybe we're so busy with our phones or our technology that we just don't even register what's going on around us. It's that idea of when you're taking a shower and you don't know if you put the cream rinse on or not. We can get out of autopilot by paying attention to the present moment. So we take a breath. Maybe we use our senses, like we try to listen. Maybe we practice washing our hands for that 20 seconds. So we just wash them very slowly using the soap. Using that as a time to calm as a parent. Something we have to do a lot is wash our hands. So we can just slow it down a little bit and get into the present. Feel the sensations in those hands. Notice the sounds. Have you noticed the summer, the sweet sounds of the birds? I have never heard so many birds in my life. And I'm sure it's because my life has slowed down so much since the COVID has occurred. So autopilot can be helpful, but mostly in mindfulness, we are trying to devote time to not be on autopilot, which means just not be mindless. We are trying to be mindful. Mindfulness has so many benefits. We feel calmer and happier. Imagine if you could let go of half of that load of stress that you're carrying around with you, how much better you would feel, how much calmer you could feel. Doctors know that it's really good for our health, our blood pressure, choices we make. We just tend to make better and better healthy choices for ourselves as far as food goes and exercise goes, dropping maybe some habits that aren't so good for us, like smoking, and just finding ourselves a way to be healthier, mentally, emotionally, and physically. We can see with more clarity. We start clearing away some of the cobwebs, some of the assumptions, some of the overreactivity and overthinking. We can learn how to respond instead of react. That's huge for every step of our life, whether it's at home with our spouse or our kids or our friends, on social media, at our jobs. To learn how to not do knee-jerk reactions would really change this world. Also, throughout this process, we'll learn to gain emotional regulation. And we'll learn in a little bit just why we go off the rails and how we can get ourselves back on it. And we start noticing these thoughts that are not at all helpful for us and may even be just untrue and creating stories. We learn that we don't have to hang on to those thoughts and we don't have to believe those thoughts. Most of our thoughts are not true or not helpful. So we can let them go. And we'll be learning all about that. So we're going to try it. One thing about mindfulness is you can't just talk about it. If you don't do it, if you don't practice, then you are never, ever going to experience the benefits or understand it. So there's really no shortcuts with practice. I strongly recommend every single person devote some time each day for a practice. This would be a formal practice that we're going to do right now, which means to sit or lie down, take 5, 10, 15 minutes and do the practice. That's what's going to start the changes in the brain. There's also things like informal practices, which I just mentioned, which would be like taking a quick moment to wash your hands, but to do it with intention, to do it on purpose. So find yourself in a space that's quiet, where you can sit up, feet on the floor, spine is straight, eyes can be closed. And we'll begin and end with a bell. And I will guide you through this beginning practice. Let's go. Taking a nice, big, deep breath in, breathing into your belly, filling your chest, holding it at the top. And when you're ready, you can let it go. Taking another big, deep belly breath in, letting your belly expand and fill your lungs, holding it a bit. Then you're ready, let it go. We'll do that one more time as you breathe in fully and deeply, bringing in fresh energy and oxygen. And when you're ready, you can let it go, allowing old energy to drain out through your feet, allowing your shoulders to relax a bit, your jaw, your face, settling into your body. Now returning your breath and letting your body just breathe as it knows how to do. No need to change it in any way. Breathing in, breathing out. Letting yourself establish that rhythm of breathing in and breathing out. Each breath in brings in fresh energy, fresh calming energy. Each breath out allows us to let go of whatever is no longer needed or helpful. Breathing in, breathing out. Now bring your attention into your feet. Continue your breath, but notice your feet as they connect to the ground. Whether you have bare feet, socks, or shoes. Noticing the sensations that are present there. Feeling that solid connection to the earth and the ground. With each breath in and out, you can even send roots down into the ground. Roots of support, foundation, strength. Breathing in and breathing out, feeling your feet connecting to the ground. Noticing the job that they do day in and day out of holding us up and taking us places. Maybe they're cool or warm. Maybe you notice some tingling. Maybe you even notice something that's painful. Just notice. No need to judge any of it. Just notice as you breathe in and breathe out, knowing that your feet are an anchor place. They're a place to rest your attention, a place that anchors you to the ground and provides stability. Breathing in and breathing out. Now you can notice any emotional sensations that are present. Perhaps you noted earlier that there was a happiness or sadness or frustration or overwhelmness. Whatever that emotion is, it's connected to your body. See if you can locate in your body, where do you feel that emotion? Belly, chest, throat, mouth, head. Maybe it's all over your body. If you don't know where it is, that's okay too. Just spend a moment being curious. Where does that emotion live in me? Be open and receptive, because maybe something will pop up that you didn't even notice was there. Maybe you'll see that tightness or tenseness is actually one of the emotions. Body is trying to tell us something. Breathing in and breathing out. You can even breathe in to wherever that emotion is felt in your body, to give it some space, to give it some love, and softening that area of your body. Breathing in, breathing out. If you notice thoughts along the way, that's perfectly normal. We all think, we all have thinking minds. Some of our minds might be really, really busy right now. Some might be slower. But we all have thoughts. When you notice those thoughts, just go, oh, thinking. Take another breath in and return your attention either to your breath or to your feet. Every time your thought runs away, just bring your attention back to your breath or back to your feet and continue on your way with breathing in and breathing out. Beginning meditators often like to have another anchor to help hook their attention. Things like breathing in and breathing out. Saying that to yourself is helpful. Some people like to count breaths in and out. You can play with what works for you, but the key is being able to notice your breath, notice the physical sensations in your body, and return to that breath every time you find yourself being yanked around. Breathing in, breathing out. And before we conclude this, take a moment to just scan your body. What did you notice in this meditation? What information were you given? Were there emotions present? And could you find where those live in your body? How busy were your thoughts? Remembering this is all non-judgment, kind, curious examination. Noticing what we can learn with the information we're being given. Let's conclude with a final breath in and breath out as I ring the bell. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back in the room. If you'd like to do a little journaling right now, to just write your experiences, write what you noticed, write what you learned, what you want to remember, you can turn off the video now and do that. Otherwise, we'll continue on. One of the most exciting pieces for me as I learned about mindfulness is learning what's going on in my brain that's causing all of this stress and anxiety. So there are 3 key areas in our brain that we study in a very simplistic way with mindfulness. So I'm also going to use the hand model, which was developed by Dan Siegel, a really famous mindfulness psychiatrist and researcher. You can always look him up more. So we have what's called an amygdala, and my thumbnail is going to represent the amygdala. This is the part that sits right here. It's the part of our brain that's left over from prehistoric days. It's what allowed us really to survive. It's our protection. It's our security guard. Its job is to keep us safe. And if it ever detects danger, it kind of hijacks your whole brain. And when we do it, it's called flip our lid, and there goes the amygdala. So the good news is it's keeping us safe. The not so helpful news is that lots of things will make us flip our lid that are not really considered physical safety anymore. It's things like strong emotions, flip our lid. It's a real cause. Being really nervous, anxious, overthinking things. Somebody's saying something to us we don't like, flip our lid. Someone says something we don't agree with, flip our lid. And we've started thinking or equating this feeling with not being safe, when in reality we are safe physically. It might be emotional safety that we're looking at. And this class can help us understand, well, what's the difference and how can I work with that? How can I create emotional safety? How can I be able to observe when I'm feeling like I'm going to be triggered or when strong feelings are present? And what can I do to quiet the amygdala? Because the only thing that the amygdala is programmed to do is fight, flight, hold, or freeze. These are reactionary. Our body takes over. This is nothing that we really have control over, especially before we've trained our mind. So we usually have a couple of places that we tend to go to more than anything. I, for instance, will tend to go to freeze. And I've discovered when there's a lot of anxiety present, it's like frozen fear. You just get stuck in it. And it's a really miserable experience, actually. I don't know if any of you have experienced that. Or some of us just get programmed to fight, whether we say things or we physically hit things or throw things. It's a reactionary thing. Some of us run away. I can be known to be a runawayer too. If I get really activated, I will run. If I'm really feeling anxious, it's usually more of a freeze. So the interesting thing about mindfulness is over the years, I've been able to notice and observe me, my body, and how I react to things. And to know when I'm in a reactionary mode. And to know I don't have to be. I can make choices. We always have choices. So we can thank the amygdala for trying to keep us safe, but we also need to let the amygdala know who's boss. We're the boss, not the amygdala. We do not have to be run around by the amygdala. So luckily for us, we have evolved, and I'm going to use these fingers here as the next part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is located behind our forehead. This is the higher level thinking center of our brain, like the CEO of our brain. It's in charge of the system. We have this part of our brain so we can think and analyze and compare and judge and contrast everything we need to do to be functioning adults and functioning kids at school. It's where we have higher level thinking. This is a place that we can make thoughtful responses and thoughtful choices. So when we are calm and things are going well for us, our prefrontal cortex will be engaged. And we're in good, we're in good shape. As soon as, however, we are threatened in some way, we flip our lid and there's that amygdala taking over things. So we have learned through mindfulness studies that just using your breath will calm that amygdala and allow the prefrontal cortex to come back online and resume our time. We even know that it doesn't take many breaths to calm it. Sometimes even 5 intentional breaths. As soon as we realize we're being activated, will calm us. Intentional breaths like we just learned. We also know, especially when we are in any performance-related activity, school will often trigger, any kind of upset will trigger, that we lose, when we flip our lid, we also have the rest of our brain disengaged, like the hippocampus, which is our memory storage place. So I've worked with kids before who have test anxiety. They've studied, they know what they're doing, but they start getting more and more and more anxious, and no longer can they access the information that they know they know. I've taught them how to do breathing that allows the amygdala to settle and calm and allows their prefrontal cortex to come back online. This is just critical information for all of us to understand. So whenever somebody is out of control, they have flipped their lid. Mom, dad, kids are out of control. They have flipped their lids. We are angry and yelling. We have flipped our lids. And we know from science that yelling at somebody to calm down is not going to help because they're already have their lids flipped. The only way we can calm is either through strong physical activity, a little quiet time, or some strong mindfulness breath. Those things will help us. Now, as parents, we need to learn how to calm ourselves and develop some balance. And once we get that for ourselves, we can then teach our children. Children just don't learn this stuff. We didn't just learn it. Nobody taught it to us. So they need to be taught just like puppies, with patience and kindness and curiosity and non-judgment and just patient, steady kindness. This is how we learn too. We learn best when we support ourselves, when we are caring for ourselves, when we do not beat ourselves up for our mistakes. As soon as we notice we flipped our lid, that's wonderful. You've had a moment of learning. You've had a moment of understanding how you could do things differently the next time, or maybe still this time. But knowing is key. Knowledge is key. So we're going to try a grounding exercise, which is something that I'm just really stressing for this series. I find that the more I can physically ground myself, which sounds weird, but it's the more I can be in my body, the more I can feel my feet and my hands and the muscles that make me stand and move and do everything that I do, the more I can get out of this head of mine, because most of us are just talking heads. Most of it is la, 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 la. And we're disconnected from the neck down on what's really happening. We don't have access to all of the sensations that are there to help us and teach us. So I'm going to encourage you to stand here, and I'll adjust the screen so you can see me a little bit better. And the first thing we're going to do is called soles of the feet. So I invite you to have your feet kind of spread under your hips so you're forming a strong foundation. And you're standing up straight and your hands are at your side, head is up. You can close your eyes for this one and just feel your feet on the floor with your eyes closed. And take some breaths in, sending those strong roots once again way deep into the ground. Maybe you have bare feet or socks on. Noticing that connection, that texture. Is your surface rough or smooth or warm or cool that you're standing on? Can you envision those strong roots supporting you, allowing you and helping you to stand tall and strong? Can you connect with your breath? Breathing in the strength from your feet and the roots all the way up. And then breathing out and allowing your breath to just travel right on down, down, down to your feet into the ground. And then bringing that energy and that breath in again, breathing in, breathing out. Noticing the sensations and continue with that breath in and that breath out. Notice the rhythm it might be establishing. Notice the sensations of your calves, your thighs, your belly and your chest, your throat. Notice how the air travels in and out. Feeling your feet on the ground, holding you and supporting you. And noticing your breath as it travels in and out. Relaxing your jaw, relaxing your shoulders, unclenching your hands at your side. Perhaps even a tiny smile on your face. Breathing in, breathing out. With our eyes still closed and its firm foundation on the ground. With your breath as you breathe in, go ahead and sway to the right. And as you breathe out, you can sway to the left. And then to the right, breathing in. And to the left as you breathe out. Allow this gentle, full breathing to rock you. Notice the muscles as they engage from one side to the other. Notice if this is comforting or peaceful to you. Using your breath, feeling your body, feeling your feet. Allowing this mindful movement, moving on purpose, with patience and kindness and curiosity. Breathing in, breathing out. And if your mind has wandered and you're wondering or judging this experience, that's all right. Just notice it. Your mind might be going, well, this is dumb, or I don't like this, or wow, this feels good. So just enjoying or noticing your experience of movement. Moving with your breath, bringing some calm and balance and peace in. Letting go of what's not needed. And always bringing your attention back to your breath, back to your feet. And on your next breath, you can just center yourself. Both feet are supporting you. And we're going to try some mindful walking. We're going to need a little bit of space, maybe 5 or 6 steps here. This is a traditional, formal mindfulness practice, a mindful movement practice. I will guide you through it. I will stay in front of the screen. You can move as needed. So bringing your weight into your left foot, lifting your right, breathing in, and mindfully and intentionally placing your right foot back on the ground as you move. Breathing in as you lift your left foot, and breathing out as you place it back on the ground and move forward. And beginning your mindful walking with each breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Just walking slowly, mindfully, patiently. Find yourself in whatever rhythm of your breath, whatever rhythm of your walking. There is no right way to do it. Just experiment as you walk and breathe. Being curious with what parts of your body are engaging to walk. How does it feel to you to move this slowly with this intention? Paying attention to each breath and each movement of your body. Breathing in, breathing out. Every time you notice you're judging or thinking, just say thinking and bring your attention back to your feet, back to your breath. Notice that you can do this every time you take a step. You can do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and see what happens. You can teach your kids to do this. It's fun to walk through the grass barefoot and enjoy all those different sensations on our feet. Eyes are open so we can see where we're going. There's no place to go, no place to be. Just stopping, walking, and breathing. In your next breath, you can bring yourself back to the computer, back to the screen. Feel your feet on the floor. Wiggle your toes a little bit. Take a nice big deep breath in and out. Take a moment. How was that for you? What did you notice? Did you enjoy this? Did it bring any kind of calm, any kind of peace? Were you able to focus? This is a practice. The more we practice mindfulness, the stronger our attention muscle gets. The longer we can sustain our attention. Imagine all of the things that you do that you'd like to be able to have a longer attention span. Imagine your kids having a longer attention span, age appropriate. So bring yourself back to your chair, wherever you're sitting. Let's move forward. I'm going to invite you to take a break here if you need to, or grab a raisin or some kind of, preferably a fruit to eat. The traditional practice is to use a raisin. So if you need to pause here, you can go grab it. Go ahead and do that. I'll wait for a moment to let you pause. So this is called mindful eating, and this is actually going to be parenting exercise, really the first mindful parenting exercise or challenge I will give you for when we are finished with this session. So let's begin with this mindful raisin or mindful eating exercise. So here is the little teeny tiny raisin that I have here. And this is another classic mindfulness practice. Remember, mindfulness involves using the senses. So think what we've used so far. We've listened, we've used our physical sensations. We are now going to use our sense of taste and touch. So we will have accomplished almost all of the senses before we finish this session. So begin by holding your piece of food in your palm of your hand and just observe it. Look at it as if you've never seen this piece of food before. Examine it so carefully that you could actually pick it out of a lineup of raisins or whatever your food is. So to do that, I'm going to notice the texture. And I'll say out loud, mine is kind of ribbed, little lines all over it, kind of dimpled. It's very uneven. It's shaped like a log, just kind of curious for a raisin. One way, it looks a little bit like a smile on one side, and the other side looks more like an eye. Notice the color. Now, most of us would say a raisin is brown or black, but really don't depend on what you think it is. Use your senses of sight to notice that. So mine would be kind of blackish and reddish, and there's highlights that look almost white on one side, and the other side looks a little lighter, but still the same coloring. I can tell by looking at all these different sides that it's pretty unique. I imagine there aren't other raisins that look just like this. So next, let's take a smell. Let's see what it smells like. Now, when we are practicing this, we don't say it smells like a raisin. We try to use adjectives. So let's smell it. Mine smells sweet. A little musty almost. Can't quite put my finger on it. Let's see if we can hear anything. So I'm going to put it between my fingers by my ear. If you have a strawberry or a grape, I wouldn't recommend this part. Maybe you could just hold it, and I'm going to pinch it. Wow. It's kind of like popping and crackling when I do that. The air is coming out, making noises. Would have never known that had I not listened to it. Let's try tasting it. Just one lick. The tip of my tongue tastes very sweet. You might notice you're starting to salivate a little because your body is getting ready to digest or eat something. Let's lick it again. Still sweet. Now, pop it in your mouth, but do not chew it. Just allow it to roll around in different places of your tongue. See if it tastes the same on every piece of your tongue. I know back there it's kind of sour. You can also notice the texture. It's rough, but it's soft, like a pillow. Now when you're ready, one bite. Is it like a flavor explosion? Now very slowly and mindfully chew it. Notice the taste. Notice your swallowing, saliva. Notice what your mind is thinking with this. As you slowly chew it, you can swallow it when you're ready. Mindful eating. You are eating on purpose, with intention. You are not on autopilot for this. You are not cramming things in your mouth just to eat and eat and eat and eat. Imagine how this would work for you and your family if every meal you ate together, you did one mindful mouthful. A little science experiment there, a little challenge. It helps us slow down. It helps us be more descriptive. It helps us focus on what we're eating. For smaller children, we even do like a farm to table where we start noticing, well, where did this raisin come from? Someone had to have planted the seed. Someone had to have cared for it. Someone had to have harvested it. It had to somehow get to the store, had to get into your house. Who were all of the people who helped make this food possible for us? And there can be some gratitude for that too. How many steps between the ground and us did it have to take to get to you? If you slow down with your food, you might notice you taste it more. You might appreciate it more. It might help you from overeating, if that is an issue. For many of us, it is. it might make you realize that McDonald's hamburger doesn't really taste as good as we thought it tasted. Maybe that French fry, I don't know about French fries though, because I love French fries, but maybe that French fry is not exactly either what I thought it would be, my habit. So it brings us into our experiment with our children. And this is what I'm going to invite you to do after the next few days. Taking this experiment of eating the raisin as if you'd never seen the raisin before. I invite you to pick a time when your child or teen is busy, involved in something where you can sit afar without being noticed, and you can look at them as if you've never seen them before. Look at them as if you've never met them before. You're just curious. You're just watching. You're dropping the judgment. You're just noticing them with fresh eyes, with beginner's eyes. Spend 10 or 15 minutes just watching, maybe even journaling, noticing your presence with them. What do you learn? What new information could you gain by doing this? This is a way of observing and being present with us and our kids or children. It's a really good experiment to try occasionally. And this is a really good experiment to be able to share with somebody else what your observations were. We all have kids who have brought their history with them. We've brought our own history as kids and now adults. And we often bring some pretty harsh judgments on our kids, or maybe some harsh labels on them. Like, that's the smart one, that's the athletic one, this one over here, not so good at school, but very artistic. And when we label our kids and put them in boxes like that, it doesn't allow us to see them clearly for their whole person. Can we open up so that we can see all of them? Everything that they have there to offer for us. We are all full-ranged people. We have a lot more going on than that we might be able to be aware of. So when we use mindfulness, we are trying to be observers, not judgers. Like, we're observing the raisin, we're observing our children, we're observing ourselves, we're observing our significant others or our friends. We're not there to do it to judge them. We're there to just notice what kinds of information is present. When we're observing it, we start with ourselves because that's where it all is. We can start noticing physical sensations like we have with our meditations, like heat, tingling, our hearts beating, tight, hungry, tired. What do these physical sensations present as in your body? You also probably want to go, well, I wonder what my kids' physical sensations are. We can also start noticing our thoughts. Do we have an inner critic who beats us up all the time? Are we constantly catastrophizing? Everything's like a mountain out of a molehill. Are we ruminating or dragging things up over and over and over again and we just can't let go of it? Are we judging? Are we comparing? We don't need to judge ourselves or criticize ourselves for what we notice. We just need to notice it. In fact, just label it, thinking. And when we notice particular patterns of thinking, that gives us really valuable information for us to decide if we want to do something about that. Like, oh, maybe I don't need to continue thinking about this because it's really not helping me at all. Maybe I can drop that. Maybe I can let it go. Maybe I can just let it go and breathe and move about my day. What would life be like if we could just drop a lot of this obsessiveness that we have going on in our minds? What kind of room would that open up for us? What kind of space? How would that feel? We can also use mindfulness to observe our emotions. Emotions are present in our body, as I mentioned. We might feel really tight. I often feel anxiety in my belly. It's like one big burning coal in there. Sometimes it goes up into my heart for a strong heartbeat. We will feel maybe tightness in our chin. Maybe anger is in our head all the way down. Maybe our hands feel really tight and tense, like we're in that reactive mode of wanting to fight. Sad is often portrayed as very blue, very down, there's no energy. Happiness is more open and up. So we can start noticing how this presents in our body and where it lives in our body, not to judge it, just to notice it, give us information. And we can begin noticing in our children or teens this as well. So mindfulness is always training that mind to observe. We notice we're judging, we let it go. Back to judging, let it go. Noticing sensations, physical, noticing thoughts, noticing emotions. All of those things are all wrapped up together in our bodies. So here's what I would invite you to do to be able to observe your child. And these are some parenting practices you could work on. Always, 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 the number one thing you can do is build connection, no matter what age your kids are. But before we can connect with others, we have to connect with ourselves. As I mentioned earlier, we're often just big talking heads. We forgot the heart part of us. We forgot the sensation part of us, which all ties us together. We forget to ground ourselves with our feet and feel our breath. Take a pause. So pausing, breathing, grounding, that's what I mean by connecting yourself. Feeling your feet, being present. It's not a race. Take time. Give yourself a minute or two to do that. Even in the heat of the moment, especially in the heat of the moment. And then connect with your child. And this is what I mean by connection, physical connection. Sit and look at your child on their level. Look into their eyes. Make eye contact. See what your eyes and their eyes are telling each other. Breathe. Parallel park means to sit on the same level. We often stand above them and over them, which is a power dynamic. It's like the Danny DeVito movie my grandkids and I were laughing about recently, where, you know, Matilda, where he goes, "I'm strong, you're weak." And well, that's not how we want to be as parents. You know, yes, we might be strong, but we don't have to tell them we're strong. We don't have to bring out power plays and punish them with our strength and power. We can empower ourselves and our children. We can still let them know what the rules are and the boundaries are and that we're in charge in a kind and caring way. So we're sitting with them. Little kids, right on the ground, play. It's a great way to transition from one thing to the next. Plan it in your day. We can be aware of our own facial expressions, our own tone of voice. We could be saying, "I'm not angry." That tone of voice is not telling anybody that you're not angry. So we are angry, that's one thing. When we notice we're angry, can we breathe? Can we ground? Can we pause? Can bring some composure to ourselves? Give ourselves a break. Singing and humming is a great way to break stress and anxiety. It's also a great way to teach your kids to do that. A lot of parents of younger children have songs they sing for particular occasions, like getting to dinner, putting away toys, getting ready for bed. It just helps them move through and provide that structure that will help them get into this habit. Oh, this song means we're going to do this. So the sooner we start that, the easier it is to move from one transition to the next. Now, this is not a perfect world. Things are going to go wrong. These are all techniques you can try and see how they work. When you want them to move from one place to another or get busy with something else, sitting, connecting, being with them, even joining in their play for a moment, helps connect your world to their world. It brings a sense of connection. And you can just be with them fully, even for a minute or two. And think how often that happens, where we just sit and breathe and relax and join in with whatever they are doing. So the practice part for you is to be able to do this. See how you can ground yourself, soles of the feet. You can always, wherever you are, feel your feet, breathe, pause, make eye contact, be on the same level as them, watching your tone of voice, Just be there. Notice how much you love it when you're given undivided attention, when someone really listens to you. It's one of the most powerful, affirming things you can do for your kids and for yourself. So we're going to conclude this piece with a loving kindness wish. This is a huge piece of mindfulness that we'll cover a little bit next time. But loving kindness is this idea that we are finding a way to plant seeds of kindness. We fully recognize that our brain is programmed to notice the bad, the ugly, the not good, the unpleasant. And that's usually what we carry around and drag with us all of the time. It's like what we focus on is what we believe. So if all we focus on is negative, unhelpful information, that's what we're going to believe. That will be our attitude. But if we can find a way to balance this negativity, balance that inner critic, if we can find a way to introduce kindness to ourselves and to our family, that helps bring about a change in us and our kids. And everything I'm teaching you today has all been fully researched for over 40 years. We know it produces significant changes in your brain. And it doesn't take that long for these practices to take hold. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets, the stronger you have these neural pathways. So if you would close your eyes for one final meditation, feet on the floor, take a breath in, take a breath out. If you'd like, you can place a hand on your heart or both hands on your heart to really connect with this heart space, feeling your breath, feeling the beats of your heart, breathing in and breathing out. Now picture your child or teen and get ready to send them some kind wishes. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you live with ease and joy. And say that again to them, picturing their face. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with calm and joy. And now turn those kind wishes towards yourself, wishing yourself the same happiness that you do others. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. And may I live with ease and joy. Allowing yourself to savor those kind wishes. And knowing that any time throughout your day when you need a little pick-me-up, when you need a little kindness, you can give yourself these kind wishes, allowing them to sink and savor. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. And may I live with joy and ease. Taking a breath in, taking a breath out. You can open your eyes or keep your eyes closed for a moment. Joining us back, I invite you to pick one or several of these practices that we've just covered. I invite you to try to find a time every day for formal practice. Mindful eating, mindful walking, mindful breathing. Frequently throughout the day, I suggest you do some grounding. I would recommend this over everything else. Feeling your feet, feeling your hands, feeling your breath, taking a pause. If you could set it as a goal 5 times a day to do this every day for a week, you'll start seeing some changes. And I also invite you to do the seeing your child with fresh eyes exercise with the raisin. And try that physical connection and presence. You can choose which one of these you'd like to try. Set yourself a goal. Stop and do a little journaling. See, what do you realistically think you can try? Maybe even just set it for tomorrow. And then again for the next day. Some people like to set reminders on their phone so they do it. Some people have a buddy that they go, breathe. And when they receive that text message, they remember to stop and breathe. And then some later time, the buddies will reply or you reply. There's lots of tricks to do this. The idea is to do it. So 6 seconds by Ellen Shaw. In 6 seconds, you can kiss someone like you mean it. In 6 seconds, you can hold open a door. In 6 seconds, you can wait for a little straggler to catch up. I'll wait for you, you can even say. In 6 seconds, you can take a deep breath. In 6 seconds, you can let it go. It's not worth it, you can say. In 6 seconds, you can tuck a note in a lunchbox or in a pocket. It takes 2 seconds to make a heart. In 6 seconds, you can say you're sorry. So we are at the end of this session. Thank you very much. I hope you've taken your time with it. You can go back and rewatch it again if you'd like to. Please have a wonderful day. Be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and take good care of yourself. Hi, I'm Cheryl, back again for Mindful Parenting. This is the session which will be talking about mindful self-compassion with parenting practices. I do hope that you watch the mindfulness one first, although if you're already into this one, that's fine too. The mindfulness will just give us some more foundational skills before we get into the emotional regulation part, which is always the most challenging for all of us. If you are new to mindfulness, this will be a session that will give you some basics. This practice of mindfulness and self-compassion is a lifelong journey. It's not one of those things you can get done in a minute and move on. So it takes a practice, just as if you were lifting weights or building a new skill, which is what this is. We are literally changing our brain as we practice. So committing to a daily practice of a few moments here and there, or a formal practice of sitting or walking and doing things mindfully will go a long ways when you really are in the need of having some help that mindfulness and self-compassion will provide. I do encourage you to take this a little bit at a time, to stop it, process, do some writing, check out the handout. If you have a printer, have it printed out so you can just stop, reflect, discuss, do this with a partner, a spouse, a significant other, a friend. It's really beneficial when you can bring in just more than just yourself to do it. So let's get ourselves started here. We're riding the waves of emotions. So I'm going to share the screen, get us into this, and let's begin. You'll notice that this is titled, "You Can't Stop the Waves, but You Can Learn to Surf." And the reason being for that is we'll find that our emotions are like strong energy surges that just pound through us, much like water does or surfing does. And if you've ever had the unfortunate experience of being in the ocean and being pulled under, you know that struggling against it is not the answer. It's learning how to just let go and go with it until you can catch some air. And if you've ever surfed, which I have not, the idea of being able to ride on the waves instead of trying to struggle through them is the goal. And that's the same for when we're trying to learn to regulate our emotions. It's a bit of a journey, learning and understanding ourselves, our brain, and the others around us. So we're going to open with a meditation that's pretty grounding. You'll notice in the previous session, I talked a lot about learning how to ground yourself, which means feel your feet, breathe, take a pause, take a break, notice what your needs are, and be able to meet those needs as soon as you can and as often as you can. So I will begin with the bell. This will be kind of a short one for you and one that you could use as either an informal meditation, meaning throughout the day, or as something you want to bring into a formal meditation. Let's begin. Your eyes are closed, you're sitting upright, feet are on the floor, hands are in your lap. Take a deep belly breath in. And when you're ready, let it go. Take another deep belly breath in, filling your belly into your chest, holding at the top and letting it go. And your next big deep belly breath in, feel what it feels like to have the air expand into your belly. What does it feel like to have that expand into your chest and to hold it a moment? And then letting it go. Notice that release of old oxygen, things not needed anymore. Just let it go. And then return your breath to just a normal breathing pattern, allowing your body to breathe as it knows how to do. Feel your feet on the ground, connected to the earth, sending the roots and stability down, knowing you can gain strength at any time by focusing there. And noticing it is the way you can also just let go. Allow old, unuseful energy to flow right out. A good energy exchange. Breathing in, breathing out. Now, as you take your next breath in, picture yourself calm, maybe in a favorite place of yours that provides some calm. Maybe it's at the beach or on a walk or a run. Maybe it's music or arts or just doing nothing. And as you breathe in, picture this calm, peaceful place for yourself in your mind. Notice what you feel like. Notice what your body feels like. And as you breathe in all of that goodness and calmness and serenity. And each breath in, breathe in feelings of feeling balanced and calm and happy and peaceful. And when you breathe out, you can just let go of stuff. And breathe in your space, your image, your place. And as you breathe in this special time or place of yours, really savor it. Really allow it to seep into every pore, every part of you. Allow the stress to drain away from your face, become softer. With each breath in, you can allow your shoulders to relax, your belly to relax and get softer. Your hands unclenched and relaxed. Feeling your feet with each breath in. Now with the next out breath, picture your child or teen when they are happy and at ease, calm and peaceful, content. What are they doing? Where are they? What do they look like? What is their body telling you? Notice how they're feeling. And notice what it feels like to watch your child happy, content, and at peace. So with each breath out now, breathing out, noticing the happiness, the love you have of your child or teen. Just seeing them in your mind's eye, happy, complete, okay. Allow yourself to savor these feelings of noticing them happy and how you feel about that. No matter what your current feelings might be of them, get in touch with the love beneath it all and how wonderful it is to see them at peace. And now we'll begin the one for me, one for you. As you breathe in the space that you're happy in. And as you breathe out the happiness to your child or teen. Picturing the images of yourself at your best. And breathing out, picturing the same for your child or teen. Allow this continual breath to be one for you as you breathe in and out for your child or teen as you breathe out. You can picture that in for me, out for you. Continuing to feel your feet on the ground, your seat in the chair. Breathing in, breathing out. With these last few breaths, allowing yourself to savor what this feels like, to be able to place yourself someplace where you feel good. And what does that feel like to know that your child is feeling just the same way? Can we let go of our worries, our guilt, our anger, just for this moment? And allow ourselves to savor the goodness in us as people and parents. And breathing out, savoring the goodness of our kids. In for me, out for you. You can do this anytime throughout the day, even with your eyes open. Taking a few moments to notice what's good and right in our worlds. In a moment, I'll ring the bell and we'll continue on. Opening your eyes when you're ready. Check out how you're feeling. If you want, you can stop right now and do a little reflection on what this felt like and how useful would this kind of a practice be for you throughout your day. So notice what's gone well for you as parents. And you're going to notice I'm going to front load that a lot. And that's a habit you can get into too. We have such a negativity bias of allowing ourselves to linger on what doesn't go well. Let's linger on what went well. What were you able to do today or yesterday? Allow yourself to enjoy that. Pat yourself on the back. How are you doing with noticing when you're reactive and taking steps to regulate? How is it going with you for grounding, that idea that we can stop whenever we need to, feel our feet, and take a breath? How did the raisin exercise go, seeing your child with new eyes? And what kind of implications could that have for you as you go through each day? Did it change what you saw in them? Did it change how you see them? And what did you discover getting down eye to eye, trying to build that connection? And probably the biggest things you can take away with yourself with this parenting series for the library is to work on grounding, being building connections. Everything is to help support that. Building a connection or repairing a connection every step of the way. So we're going to continue working on trying to find balance and calm and learn how we can help our children. We'll learn some more mindfulness and self-compassion practices. We'll look for some common triggers, meditations, parenting practices, and a little brief mention of the tantrums, meltdowns, and do-overs. At any time, once again, you can stop this and just do some writing or reflecting. So what we know about mindfulness is it builds resilience in ourselves and kids of all ages. It helps build that integration between our right and left hemispheres. The right is famous for being the more global thinker, the more seat of art and emotions and creativity. And the left is famous for the more analytical problem-solving skills. And really what we're trying to do is build that integration between the two so the highways between the two are working well. We're going to take a new look at what emotions are. We can call them big energy surges. And if we can take the personalization out of the emotion and just notice the emotion more objectively, that's anger. That's frustration. Oh, that's sadness. If we can begin to identify these emotions in ourselves and start locating where they live in our bodies, once we know that and we find ways to calm ourselves, then we can notice, oh, my children are in need of some regulation. I need to teach them how to do that. Screaming and yelling at them only makes it worse. It creates a bigger mess. It creates a disconnection with your children. And what you want to do is build a connection, a strong and steady connection. This quote helps emphasize that when little people are overwhelmed by big emotions, it's our job to share our calm, not join their chaos. So you can think the next time you want to just kind of flip your lid and you want to just blow your top, you can think, I wonder if I can find a way to calm myself so that I can then help my kids calm themselves. You are not a great big kid. You are an adult. And adults can learn how to do adulting. We can learn these skills with kindness and patience because it takes a while. It's a journey. We can notice that our child's behavior is giving us information. So we can begin to look, take away the personalization of the emotions that they're sharing. Whenever there's an uncomfortable emotion, they have become dysregulated. They have flipped their lids and their amygdala is in charge, the home of fight, flight, freeze. So whenever those things are there, that's your first key. They're dysregulated. I wonder what's happening. How can I calm them? How can I build a bridge so we can then get down to business, figure out what went wrong? That's the point that you can find some way to teach, not when they're dysregulated. So if you're seeing anger, anxiety, helplessness, or fear, that signals for basic needs, basic safety. Something is causing them to not feel safe. Now, it might be in their mind or it might be real, but as we know, it doesn't really matter. It's this feeling that's a signal for us to investigate. If you're seeing frustration and boredom and disappointment, they're needing to somehow find some satisfaction. Somehow they need to find a way to overcome, to balance, to calm, take a break, whatever might be called for. And those are things that we all have experienced. We work, and then we get so frustrated, we're just overwhelmed then. If we're seeing resentment, loneliness, hurt, inadequacy, or sadness, it's signs for needing connection with you, support, comfort. Those are times that we can really build connections with our kids by being there for them. Sending them away to their room is not building a connection. And if you're seeing happiness and joy and delight, as we see in kids so much, like, have fun with them, enjoy with them, be with them. So you'll notice with each of these types of emotions, we believe that you can be with those emotions. Typically, I was raised with, if you're angry, frustrated, bored, anything that's not a positive emotion, you were supposed to go to your room and not come out till you were better. And now we know that sending kids away when they're struggling is that disconnection. It's not teaching them anything other than, I better stuff these emotions. This part of me is not okay. I am not okay. So we try to find a way to help them understand the emotion, and then we can teach about it. Another piece we have in this puzzle of parenting is everything we bring with us. All of our past garbage, everything that's not been processed or dealt with. So unresolved issues from childhood are often hot buttons for us, and our kids know how to trigger those. So they will teach us. Our kids are actually the best teachers in the universe, because whenever we feel reactive, there's something there for us to learn about, something for us to deal with. So it's a matter of looking at, what do I need to learn? How do I need to take a look at this? Do I need to see therapy for this? Do I need to do some reflection on it? How deep are these childhood issues? And this class is certainly not a place for that, but it's something you can reflect on. You also can think about, just in general, in not a deep traumatic way, but what were some messages you received as a child that have left you feeling confused or unhappy or upset? Most of us run around with these huge inner critics that are constantly telling us we're not good enough, we'll never amount to anything, no matter how hard we try. If you're not happy all the time, then that's not all right. The goal is to always be happy, or something's wrong. So we all carry these around with us. And mindfulness, little by little, will help unearth those old patterns and old messages so that we can bring them to light and we can work with them. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has some kind of a past. Everybody has something that's happened to them, some more traumatic than others. The key here, and the reason why I bring this up, is how does this affect your parenting today? Again, nobody expects perfection, although I'm sure as a parent you do in a way. But the goal here is not perfection. The goal is to be present, to be honest, to be real, to be with whatever is. And if we goof up, if we make mistakes, which we will, there's something called a do-over that we can just try it again. It's part of this whole growth mindset, is that once we make a mistake, we try to learn from it, we try to do it over, and eventually we will learn how to do better. So this is a good spot, a really good spot for you to stop and just spend some time thinking about. What big issues jump out from you from your past? And how does that, do you think, affect your parenting today? So if it's an issue you've always had with you, I'm sure it's an issue in your parenting. Is there anybody you can reach out to for support on this? You have a trusted other, a trusted significant other, a loved one, or a friend. These are times that we can come together. Again, nobody is perfect. We all have issues, we all have troubles. So we are going to work on a meditation called RAIN, and I'm going to just explain this to you before we go through it. And I will tell you that probably the person that has made this most famous is a meditation teacher by the name of Tara Brach. She is probably, well, almost my all-time favorite meditation teacher. I think she's amazing. And she's actually, her newest book is all about this. She's also a therapist, so she can bring that world in. And she's probably around my age, so she's been around a little while. So the idea of RAIN meditation is to work through these acronyms. So the R in RAIN means recognize. That's what mindfulness does, is it allows us to unearth and notice what's going on. So we recognize our feelings and then we name it. So anger is here. Sadness is here. We notice our body, we notice our feelings, and we simply name it. And as I've mentioned, our feelings live someplace in our body. So the more we can connect where that feeling is, the kind of faster we'll be able to experience what this is like. And then the second part of RAIN is to turn your attention to your child in your mind and imagine how they're feeling. And imagine what it feels like to name the feelings. The A in RAIN is allow. Normally, our immediate reaction is to run away, hide, and probably because we've been told that those feelings are not okay. So it's a little counterintuitive to turn towards those feelings, to let those feelings be there. That doesn't mean your feelings can rule you. It doesn't mean if you're angry, it's okay to hurt things or others. It means you're noticing and allowing them to be there, even turning towards them, even inviting them in. So you can notice your struggle and your pain. This is a common humanity piece. All parents struggle. You can soften your body. You can breathe and be with it. And just as if you were observing from afar, like you were watching clouds drifting by, you just notice the feeling. Try not to be at your feeling, but it is a feeling, so it's out there and separate from you. This feeling is here, not my feeling. You can do the same for your child, noticing their struggle. Noticing these feelings never last, they always pass, just like the clouds. And think of all the things you love about your child. And then there's the I of RAIN. This is where a lot of detective work happens. And a lot of this I find is really useful to do with a piece of pen and paper. But then again, I'm kind of visual that way. So this is where you investigate the sensations in your body. How does your emotion show up in your body? As you pay attention to these sensations, does anything shift or change? Is there emotion underneath the emotion? Like under anger, is there fear or sadness or hurt? Then investigate the thoughts or beliefs or stories here. And which thoughts make them worse and which thoughts reduce them. And then we can go to our kids, our attention. Notice what your child's emotions look like in their bodies. This is a really great tool to know and have a warning before the big emotion just splatters all over the place. Shifting your attention to your child's now. Noticing the emotions, maybe even what are they trying to let us know, even though they don't have the words to tell us. Hurt, sadness, I need help, I need understanding. What kinds of thoughts, beliefs, stories are here about your child? Uncover those. Do you think they're being naughty, out to get you? They're just always going to be like this? Might as well give up? Just unearth those with gentleness and kindness. No judgment. And then notice which thinking helps grow that negativity and which reduces it. And last, the N is needs and nurture. Identify your needs and your kids. So now that you've worked through all of this, you might be feeling at peace a bit more. Maybe you need consideration or respect or to be listened to. Now that you're calm and your amygdala is calm, now's the time that we can start almost problem solving or noticing. If we're not there yet, continue pausing and breathing. Put your hand on your heart for a little added comfort. A break, slow down. Even if you notice that you need a break and you're really tired, even saying, I need a break. So I'm just going to breathe for a minute. If you want, you can breathe with me while I calm down. Or else we'll just pick this up in a moment. You might notice a more skillful way to meet your needs and child's next time. And when you're all done, give yourself a big hug. And then you can notice what your child needs. Safety, reassurance, connection. Maybe they're just hungry or need sleep or a break. Allow your child to have needs, just like you allow yourself to have needs. And then a big hug, a connection, a smile, play, laugh, or a sorry or apology might be necessary. So we're going to do a meditation, and I will give you a chance to stop and to reflect on this. So get yourself in your meditation posture, and we'll go ahead and begin. This one is a bit of a long one, maybe about 10 minutes, so prepare yourself for that. Let's begin. Beginning with a few deep breaths. Noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. The in-breath brings in fresh energy. The out-breath lets go of old energy. Lets go of things that no longer serve us. Bring your attention to your breath. Settle into your breath and into your body. Feeling your feet on the ground, your hands in your lap, bringing your attention to your physical sensation as best you can. Bringing calm and peace and feelings of support as you breathe in and breathe out. Next, find a moderately challenging experience you have had with your child or teen. Don't make it extremely activating, and don't make it so easy that it doesn't really matter. Find something that's in the middle. Bring that experience to your mind. Who's there? Where are you? What happened? And we'll use this scenario for this practice. Beginning with the R in rain, recognize your experience. Notice your physical sensations. Heat, beating heart, hot face. Notice where they are located. Tightness, looseness. Each time you breathe in and out, you can direct your breath into those areas where you notice your physical sensations. Notice your thoughts. What are you thinking? No judgments, just notice the thoughts. Staying with our breath, staying with our feet whenever we need to ground more. Notice your emotions. Even thinking about it, are you reinstating the emotions? Name the emotion: frustration, anger, disappointment. Just be with it, noticing it. Name it to tame it. Now turn your attention to your child's experience as you might imagine it. Recall what you observed about their bodies. Were they tight and tense? Jumping up and down or throwing things? Screaming? What was happening with their bodies? What did they say? What did they do? What did you notice, or what do you think they are feeling as they are showing you this behavior, As you notice their body language, do they feel sad, frustrated, disappointed? Name the emotion you think your child is experiencing. Anger, frustration, disappointment. Breathing in, breathing out. Now that you've noticed where the physical sensations are living, your emotions and your thoughts, and you know what the emotion is, allow that emotion, that experience to be there, just as it is. No need to change it or judge it. Allow your feelings, thoughts, physical sensations to be there just as they are. Accept them. Be with them. No need to fix or change. Just allow them to be there and even invite them in. Notice your struggle and pain and allow it to be there. Remember that all parents struggle. As you breathe in, allow your body to soften. Allow yourself to be with this struggle for a brief time. It's okay, it will not last, it will pass. Just breathe and be. Notice again that your feelings are not you, they are separate from you. They're energy forces that you can notice and work with. Now you can also allow your child to have their experience just as it is. At this moment, no need to change it or judge it. Noticing their struggle, give it your kind attention, just as if they have hurt themselves. Remember, their feelings will pass as well. Allowing their experience to be there just as they are in this moment. Allow the things you love about your child to come to mind. Being with the experience, naming the experience, allowing it to be there without the need to chase it away or hide from it. Allowing yourself to feel calm and strong in the midst of this. And now let's get a little curious and investigate. Where does the emotion live in your body? Belly, chest, throat, jaw, head, hands. As you pay attention to these sensations in your body, does anything shift or change? Is there an emotion underneath? Like under anger, is it fear, disappointment, sadness? As you breathe in and breathe out, allowing these feelings to be here, noticing the sensations that are present. Can you turn your attention to your thoughts now? What beliefs or stories are here about yourself? What are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself you're a bad parent? You'll never get it? If people only knew? Are you telling yourself it's okay, it will pass? Honestly, what are your thoughts? Let them be there too. They're all a part of us. If we can notice and bring them out in the open, we can work with those thoughts and notice how strong they are, what they're trying to tell us. Breathing in and breathing out, knowing that it's okay to have these emotions, these thoughts, these sensations, and that they won't last forever. Now investigate your child's sensations. Where do you see the emotion in your child's body? Tightness, tenseness. How do they exhibit that emotion? How can you tell? Knowing that when we become familiar, we can help our children understand how emotions live in bodies and how you can start noticing what to do. What emotions do you see present for them? Anger, sadness, frustration. And what might those emotions be trying to tell us? We could read beneath the lines. If they had the words. If they weren't triggered. And then notice what kind of thoughts or beliefs or stories are here about your child. Is there any past history of yours that's been projected on your child? Have we put them in a box or said they're always this way or always that way? Can we just notice gently our thoughts and stories about them? Breathing in and breathing out. Noticing how our body is feeling right now. Perhaps we need a little bit more of a breath. Allow our bodies to settle, soften, feel our feet. And now let's turn our attention to our needs. Our needs and nurturing ourselves is the beginnings of self-compassion. In the moment, recognizing we're having a rough time, our kids are having a rough time, rather than labeling ourselves or our children as failed or naughty, we can learn to see with clear eyes what we need or want or what our child needs. So investigate your possible needs. What are you thinking you need now? Respect? Consideration? Being listened to? Or maybe you need a break or a nap or some food or some alone time. Pause, breathe, connect to your body again. Put your hand or both hands on your heart or on your belly or both. Slow down. Breathe and feel the warmth and comfort of your breath, your hand on your heart. Breathing in, breathing out. This is a moment where you might want to do the one for me, one for you. Breathe in for you, noticing yourself, and breathe out for your child. Finding the rhythm of that breath, feeling your feet on the ground. Noticing that you could even let your child know that you have needs too. I need a break. I need to breathe and calm down for a minute. I'm just going to do that for a minute. You can even help me breathe. Notice if you can meet your needs now to do it. If not, make an agreement with yourself when you can do it. Sometimes all we need is a kind word, things we wish a good friend would say to us. I'm here for you. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm listening. It's not your fault. Trust in your goodness. Letting those kinds of words sink in and savor them. Knowing how good it feels to meet your needs, to take care of yourself. No one needs to be a martyr. No one needs or should ignore their needs. Put on your own life vest first. And now we'll turn our attention to our child's needs. What might they be trying to tell us right now? Maybe they need a break. They need to feel safe. Maybe they need to feel connection with you, advice or support. Maybe they want independence. Or they're hungry, or they need to sleep, or they need to play, they need a break. Welcome and allow your child's needs. They have the same kinds of needs we do. Name what you think they needed or wanted. I think you might be hungry. Could that be? Or maybe you need a break. Or maybe you wanted that candy, and it's really hard when you can't have it. You were feeling sad. And it's hard to feel that way. You can empathize with them. Let them know that their feelings and needs are important. Try to connect with them, offering a hug or a smile, or maybe even an apology. And then we can go on our way. This is the kind of self-reflection. Once we get good at this practice, we can just kind of move through rather quickly. R for recognize, name it to tame it. A, to allow it or accept it. Feel it to heal it. I for investigate the sensations, emotions, thoughts. And then N, what do we need right now? When you're ready, you can open your eyes and stop the video and spend a little bit of time reflecting on this, working through it. And then you could pick this up tomorrow or the next day when you're ready to move on. This is a really huge piece. It's a huge way to learn about yourself and to learn about others. We're back, checking in with yourself again. What's your weather report right now? How are you feeling? Do a quick body scan. What's your body feel like? Sensations. What state of mind are you with your thoughts? What do your emotions feel like right now? And if you're feeling tired or overwhelmed or frustrated, this is not a good time to be learning something new. You might want to just stop it and come back to it later. So we're going to do a little bit with the parenting practices right now. A little sense of humor here. You got a tool bag and me. And basically what we're learning as parents is to gather tools. What can we put in our tool bag that's going to be really useful and handy and easy? For me, it's got to be easy or I won't do it. And so far, what we've learned may feel a little overwhelming. That's why we want to take this a little tiny step at a time. And this is the kind of class you could learn over and over and over again. And every single time you would learn something new. Every single time I teach it, I feel like I learned something new. So that's our learning curve. Little baby steps. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a good rest. Dig in and try it again when you're ready. So there are some common triggers that we all know about. And this will set off most of us. When we're really hungry, a lot of us lose it. Our kids in particular lose it. When we feel angry, it's the kind of common for the parent to feel angry back. It's a trigger. You also have past history stuff there. What were you taught about anger as a kid? I know for me, the only person who could be angry was my dad. Everybody else could not. So everybody else had to leave or go someplace else. So that was a whole lot of baggage for me to bring forth into my life. Maybe feeling lonely. parents usually like to jump in there and save their kids from everything that could possibly go wrong. And we're learning that with mindfulness, it's okay to have these feelings. They may not be pleasant, but we know they won't last forever. And if we take care of that feeling or that need, we know we feel better and stronger. And the next time we'll be a little bit more, feeling like confident that we can meet that and be okay with it. So for our kids, each time they get angry, and we can help them work through that anger and look underneath the anger and find a way to calm, the more resilient they're going to feel. As they grow older, they'll get better and better at this. And of course, if we're tired, everything will trigger us. And someone could look at me funny and I could get triggered. So we can notice our own triggers here. So each one of these we could look at as our own, and what happens to us when we are in these moods, when we are having these feelings. We definitely are in a different space than we're not having these feelings. So here's what some of the parenting techniques that we have tried, and I use a couple of authors for this. This might be Dan Siegel, I think, who writes a lot about working with kids and mindfulness and mindful parenting. But I've already mentioned some of these before. Eye contact, noticing our body language, our facial tone. Kids often mirror the way we are. So if we're really tense, they're probably going to mirror that right back. If our eyes are popping out of our head, they're going to go, ooh, what's happening? And might maybe meet us in that way. The 2x2 is a nice technique for when you want to get kids to do something. First of all, I should have this in a different order, because you'll want to make eye contact with them before you start barking out orders. You want to make a connection with them, such as parallel park, where you just come and sit next to them. Let's say they're playing computers. Well, that's a really hard thing for kids to disengage from. So sitting next to them, watching them, being with them for that, so that you kind of come into their own world, is a really nice way to make any kind of request for them. And let them know, okay, a few minutes, it's going to be time. Give them that little warning. And then it's time to make sure you follow it up, which is the 2x2. And they recommend 2 feet. I think Dr. Chris Payne recommends this, 2 feet on the ground and no more than 2 feet away, and calmly stating what your request is. Time to quit computers now. And you don't leave and then shout in the doorway again. You stay there. And of course, you should have some kind of a routine built in where they understand the consequences for not listening or not stopping at the agreed time. You could use, whenever there's a routine for transitions, like getting out the door, which is a major problem for most families, to get to school, to get to work, to get to the gym, to get wherever you have to get, depending on the ages. Most kids find a good reason not to do it. Or maybe it's time for bed. I swear kids who are even tired at the last minute have this sudden burst of energy and you don't know where that came from. So some parents like to build routines like singing a song that gets connected with putting away the toys for younger kids, or brushing your teeth, or washing your face. So all those things, this pattern and this structure is heavily recommended by many therapists and child psychiatrists. So we build routines, we make reasonable requests, we front load it, we have time to talk about it and let the kid know, our children know, just what we're going to be expecting. But whenever there's a transition, that means there's a change in their world to do something probably in your world. This is a transition. This is a chance to connect first and then make your request. Another little note about the brain, the upstairs and downstairs brain. There is a difference between the thinking brain, the upstairs brain, and the downstairs brain. So the thinking brain is that prefrontal cortex here that I've used. This is the part of us that's ready to learn, ready to listen. That's the green zone. Educators use this. So if you're an educator, you'll know this. So the green zone is optimal learning, and for parents, it's optimal teaching time. If your kid is in the red zone, in the downstairs brain, that's the home of flipping out, flipping your lid. Strong feelings are present. That's where you're disconnected, amygdala's in charge. This is the job for the parent to soothe that amygdala. Always soothe first. If you're yelling and screaming at each other in this red zone, it's just going to get worse. You're the adult. It's your job to calm, bring yourself back into the green zone yourself, and then help your child do the same. And we've talked about the breathing, we've talked about the calming, we've talked about naming it, breathing with it, allowing it to be there, helping, comforting, whatever that emotion is showing. Now here, parents often wonder about the tantrums versus meltdowns. So let's take a look at that. Upstairs brain, child is choosing the tantrum to get what he or she wants. Clearly there's some thinking going on here, some calm, calculated thinking. And it's pretty easy to tell the difference between a kid who's trying to get their own way or a kid who truly has flipped their lid. So if you're trying to get their own way, firm, clear, consistent boundaries are what are necessary, and not right in the moment, but beforehand, preferably. When the kid is in the downstairs brain, when they flip their lid, they don't have any control, just like you don't have control. So here's the place to do the comforting and the connecting, using, and then use the words. So first we connect and comfort. Then we can name it. You're feeling sad. You're feeling angry. You really wanted to play longer. I know that's so hard. Soothing, calm words on their level, being with them, giving them that connection and that support. But if they're manipulating you, just trying to get what they want, then we have a different tactic. Clear, firm, consistent. So here's just an example again of what I just said. Always connect first and then redirect. So the right brain part of us, we soothe until we can make a connection with the left brain, which is using words. So the right brain is the feeling, name it to tame it. You feeling sad? You wanted that cookie. That's so hard when you can't get what you want, to notice the struggles that they're having. To be understood is one of the biggest gifts you can give anybody. This process allows them to regulate their emotion, to help them regulate their emotion. This is a Dan Siegel piece, and I would highly recommend checking him out. He's got lots of books, and they're all really readable and usable for parents. All right, we need to find out what we can do for ourselves. A big part of self-compassion and mindful parenting is how can we take care of ourselves? So you've noticed that's been quite a theme so far. Soothing touch is one way. Sometimes we just want to have a massage or get hugged, but maybe there's just no one to do that. So we can do a soothing touch ourselves. And what we know from research is that the feel-good hormone, oxytocin, is released. And when you release that, it makes you feel warm and good and loving and trusting, and it helps us relax and become softer. Normally, when we're having a rough time, we get tense. So we try to use our breath to let go and to soften. So soothing touch or a moment for me goes like this, just like for kids, and we could use the same thing for both of us. A moment for me. Thinking of the situation maybe you used for the rain practice, you can just go, this is hard. I'm angry. Frustration is here. Anger is here. Tiredness is here. Name it to tame it. And let yourself know you're not alone. All parents feel this way, a lot. We're all doing the best we can. We're never alone. We're not the only ones. And then we look at what do we need and follow that with a soothing touch. Maybe it's hands on the face as a comfort. Maybe it's a little hug, hands on heart, hands on our belly, hands on our lap. Whatever feels best to you, you can kind of play around with it. So soothing touch is something we can always do for ourselves wherever we are. We can take a breath. We can notice how we're feeling. We can name it. We can comfort ourselves. We can think what we need. Soothing touch. So I mentioned a do-over, and a do-over is just this very simple idea that you mess something up or your kids mess something up, and there's always a do-over. There's always a chance to make it better or learn or improve. So it just goes with, you acknowledge that you made a mistake. Like, I'm sorry, I really wish I wouldn't have lost my temper just then. I wonder if we could try this again, and I'm going to try to do it better. And then you decide when you can do it again. Little kids usually within 10, 15 minutes are ready to do it again. Teenagers might need a day, but you make an agreement. When is it going to happen? And you just do it. You just go, I'm so sorry, can we just reenact this again? Little kids kind of like to play act. So, and it makes you feel really good when we can learn to take responsibility. And that's a key difference with self-compassion versus other types of approaches, is self-compassion understands that we're going to make mistakes and we're all human. But we can learn from it. We can always change. We can always do it again. We can always begin again. So we acknowledge what we did, we say we're sorry, we take responsibility, and we do it over. Simple as that. And we can do that again and again and again. Parents have to do it first. By modeling it for our kids, we can let them know that it's okay to make a mistake and that it's a really good idea to do it over again. It doesn't make us a worse person or a better person. It just makes us a person who's trying to do their best and treat themselves and one another with respect. This would be a great spot right here if you wanted to stop and do this and practice it with a partner or friend. Just practice a do-over. The more you can practice all these things, the more they get kind of stuck in your head, and it's easier to pull it out when you need it. You can check the handout because it's got it on there too. Here's an example of a scenario. You've planned a fun activity. You're so excited. You're trying to get everyone out the door. Emotion and excitement is high. Something happens. Now your husband's upset. Your child has acted out. The kids are fighting. You're just so disappointed. Now you have a lot of choices here about what you could say. You could now get upset and slam the door or yell at everybody. Or you could say, whoa, this is not what I had planned for today. This isn't fun for anyone. That was not the way to handle that situation, was it? She didn't mean to hit you in the eye with her coat sleeve, and you know it's not okay to hit ever. Let's have a do-over. Let's try it all again. How can we do it better this time? So we name it to tame it. We acknowledge what's happening. We don't sweep it under the carpeting and just try to be happy and make it all go away that way. We notice it. We name what happened matter-of-factly, and then we say, let's try it again. So we wait till we're ready, try it again. Sometimes kids know they've messed up and they want to save face. And they do want a chance to do it better. So give your family a chance to do it over and start out on a great note. So now with this further information, do some more thinking, stop the video, and see if you can find a way to think of a do-over that you and your family could do. So we're nearing the end of this session. I hope you notice that we're trying to be kind to ourselves. And by being kind, that means we're noticing, we're accepting, we're naming the obvious, naming the feelings, naming the thoughts, naming the sensations that are present. The more we can get in the habit of noticing ourselves, that weather report, checking in with ourselves, the more information we have available. The more we know ourselves, the more we know our kids. And then the more we can take steps to take care of ourselves and take care of our kids. Our kids learn from us. They learn everything we do, good, bad, and ugly. So we have this opportunity, a very powerful opportunity, to teach our children a new way than what we might have had. to teach ourselves and grow ourselves as people. Building these connections time and time and time again, starting over again, having a do-over, taking responsibility. These are all really beautiful pieces to bring some peace to your family, some growth and love and connection to your family. So if we spend more time building up the strengths of our children, building up our own strengths, more time planting seeds of kindness and compassion, and less time looking at all the things that aren't right. The saying goes, where attention goes, energy flows. I should mention too that you can have any religion that you would like. Mindfulness is not a religion, it's a scientific practice. We know that it changes our brain. Mindfulness and mindful self-compassion are skills and tools that our world would be better off if we all knew how to do this. Our towns, our schools, our churches, our governments, our country would all be better off if we could learn this honesty, this kind, patient, non-judgmental honesty. So the journey of mindful parenting is developing and honoring the wisdom within each of us. When I was a parent, I spent a lot of time reading all the latest and greatest self-help parenting books, and they all got so overwhelming to me that I just couldn't do it. I was trying to drastically change what's really not my way. Instead, with mindfulness, we try to look within and unearth the wisdom that we each hold. We each hold a great deal of wisdom if we can just get in touch with it. A daily intention to meditate and practice presence is really important. There are so many ways you could do this. You could take a mindfulness class. You can go to some of the apps. There's lots of apps out there. Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer, to name a few. But set a time each day for a practice. This could be sitting meditation, walking meditation, informal meditation, like the stop and be, like the soothing touch, name it to tame it, a whole host of things. Slow down. Do you really need to take your kids to every single last event in the universe? Do they really need to be involved in 3 extracurricular activities so all you do is race around in the car all day long? What would be best for you and your family? How can you slow down your life? Sometimes it's just acceptance. Just accept how it is, accept where it is, let it go, and don't forget self-compassion, taking care of you and your needs. It's a lifelong journey, baby steps. May we raise children who love the unloved things, the dandelion, the worms and spiderlings, children who sense the rose meets the thorn, and run into rain-swept days the same way they turn towards sun. And when they're grown and someone has to speak for those who have no voice, may they draw upon that wilder bond, those days of tending tender things, and be the one. Written by a friend, Nicholas Souter. At the end of this, I invite you to develop your own self-care plan from your handout. Or if you don't have the handout, maybe you could just write this down. How are you going to build a loose way to take care of yourself on a daily basis? How can you go with ground 1, which is making sure you eat, making sure you tend to your feelings, making sure you get your sleep and your rest, your alone time. How can you build that into your day and into your week? It's different with ages and stages of kids. When they're babies and tinies, it's pretty hard to get that stuff in. Maybe it's more realistic to get it once a week. But we can certainly take care of ourselves with food, We can certainly notice our feelings. Try to soothe ourselves with that soothing touch and let us know we're not alone, that this will not last forever. To reach out for help. How can you ground yourself? What are some practices? The breath, feel your feet, dance, shake, walk, move. How can you notice when to stop and take a breath? Do you really have to get that whole house clean today? Can you give up some of your perfectionistic tendencies maybe and just let it go? So what if the house doesn't get clean or that dish doesn't get washed today? Are you tired? Are you overwhelmed? Take care of yourself. Take a breath. Sometimes we need to laugh, just have fun and let it go. But woof, nothing to do about that today. Just let it be. A powerful piece of a daily care plan is gratitude, being thankful every day. Name 3 things. Tiny little things. I'm thankful for the sun, that tiny. I'm thankful for the smile on my husband or wife's or partner's face. I'm thankful I have someone who loves me and I love them. I'm thankful for my buttons and my shoelaces and my tennis shoes. Small things. And if you find you just can't commit to a daily sit-down practice, try a mindful moment. That would be something like, every time I wash my hands, I'm going to do it mindfully. I'm going to wash my hands slowly, feeling the texture and the smoothness of my skin, noticing the warmth of the water and the feeling of the soap suds being slippery on my hands, breathing in, breathing out. We're supposed to do this for 20 seconds anyway. Why not do it mindfully? Taking breaths along our way. And we can bring the same kind of mindfulness to anything that we do over and over again. Change diapers, sit in the car, wash dishes, brush our teeth. We can do it all mindfully, with care and kindness. So before you let this class go, take something off this list. Put your stake in it. Make a plan. Decide to do it. Decide what else you might need to support you in this practice. I often need a teacher to be accountable to. I need someone to tell me to do it until it's a practice and a habit. So we are at the end. I'm going to have you close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in and a breath out. Breathing in, breathing out. Picturing you and your family having a good time. Maybe you're playing, maybe you're in the water, at the beach, in your backyard, playing a game. Just picture all of you savoring this good time, this fun time, noticing the warm feelings you have, the ease and the relaxation. Breathe that in, savor it. Even put your hand on your heart or hold your face. And just, oh, that feels good. Know that you can always come to these beautiful memories anytime throughout your day. Give yourself a little lift and a little break. Just a few breaths. Big deep breath in and out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Congratulate yourself for finishing. Congratulate yourself for the beautiful job you do as a parent, for all of your good intentions, love of your kids and your family and yourself. I thank you so much for being present today with this. And I'm going to close with some loving kindness wishes. May you be happy and strong. May you be healthy. May you be safe from inner and outer harm. And may you live with ease and joy. Thank you. Again, my name is Cheryl, Teens Just Breathe, or Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness. It's been a pleasure, and I hope someday I do get to meet you. Take care.